So there they were, in this field, the highest town in North America, face to face. It was Ryan and Nate versus an entire village of Mexicans in a true Mexican standoff. And they said, "What do we need to do to get our boy back?" So let me back up. On Y2K, me, my brother Nate Cox, and Ryan Yowsey decided it would be a great idea to head south of the border when the whole world goes crazy, come Y2K, all the computers crash. We thought, hey, why not be in Mexico, right? So we all got in Ryan's Toyota Tacoma, put a little bed on the cover on the back of the bed, and we did 24-hour shifts of driving. Well, 4-hour shifts, we would drive 24/7 till we got there. 2 guys sleeping in the back. You'd move up to navigator position, then you'd move to driver, and then driver would rotate back. So you'd navigate for 4-hour shift, looking at the map, and then you'd drive for a 4-hour shift, and then you'd get 8 hours off. So it was a pretty good setup. So anyways, we got to this mountain in Mexico. It's the highest mountain in Mexico, 3rd highest in North America, called Pico de Orizaba. There's a rough dirt road that goes from 10,000 feet up to 14,000 feet, winding up this mountainside. And in the middle somewhere, there's a town. They claim it's the highest town in North America. But you drive by it, and it's kind of like one burned out house and a shed. And they always say, every time a Mexican is driving, they'll say, hey, here's the highest town in North America, right here. And you look around and you're like, I see a couple adobe walls, but I don't really see a town. So nobody lives here. This is weird. And we drive up to 14,000 feet. So I got dropped off up there. Nate and Ryan are making a supply run. They drive down the mountain, and they're driving back up. And right in that town, these 2 Mexican boys are standing in the road, waving them down. So we love the Mexican people. They're so cool, so generous, so interesting. So they drive up there, roll down the window, like, hi kids, what do you need? And they're like, chocolate. They want a little chocolate bar or something. And they look around the car. They don't have any chocolate, but they do have some cough drops. Say, hey kids, you want some cough drops? No, chocolate. And Ryan, he's like, okay, well, we don't have any chocolate, so see you later. Rolls up the window, starts driving up the road to see me at 14,000 feet, and crash! They look back, and the back of the window is completely smashed, completely shattered. And they're slack-jawed looking backwards, and they see the 2 Mexican boys are standing there stunned. And one of them is holding a slingshot in his hand. He had shot out the window. And they're standing there like, oh my gosh. So Ryan is a man of action. He doesn't hesitate. He puts it in gear, burns the thing around, and starts after those kids. And they look at each other, and they run off to the forest, right? In different directions. So Ryan pulls off the road, he's bouncing around. They're headed right for one of these kids. And at the last minute before he reaches the forest, Nate jumps out, tackles this kid, throws him in the cab. And he yells in Spanish to the other boy, if you ever want to see your friend again, you'll get back here right now. And the kid screams and runs into the forest. So Nate gets back in the truck. And they're driving around and they're like, oh, what do we do? Okay, we're going to interrogate this kid till he tells us where he lives, and then we're going to get money to fix our window. So they're like, where do you live, kid? And he's like, oh, turn left up here. Oh. They're like, okay, kid, now what? Oh, turn right at the bush. Oh. Speaking in Spanish and crying in Spanish too. So they drive over there. Oh, right here. Kid, we're in the middle of a clearing in this mountainside. You do not live here. Yeah, I live in this meadow. Ah! So Nate and Ryan get out of the car. My brother Nate, strong man, stays in the car with the kid. So they're watching him. And the kid's kind of liking him by now, you know. He realized they're not going to kill him. They're not pulling his head off, pulling his hair. They're just yelling at him. So he can take that. So he's kind of like, oh, okay, cooperating a little bit. So they're standing there. Nate and Ryan jump out for a little powwow, and they're like, Nate, what are we going to do? Ryan, I don't know what we're going to do, but we need to figure out how we're going to get him to fix this broken glass. So right when they're in the middle of this conversation, at the edge of the forest, they see this dust cloud. And they look over at squinting at the dust cloud, and they see movement. And the movement is coming towards them. And it's an entire Mexican village, men, women, and children, running full speed towards Nate, Ryan, and the pickup truck. I mean, there's pregnant women in flip-flops. There's men barefooted in linen shirts flapping in the breeze. There's little children. And they're running full speed. Nate and Ryan look at each other like, what is going on here? And right as they get towards them, about 20 feet off, the whole village halts right there. And an old man runs to the front, pushes them aside, and he says, do you have my son? And Nate looks at Ryan, and the guy says, do you have my son? And Nate says, yeah, we have your son. We do have your son. Well, can I have him back? Like, do you know what your kid just did? And Nate takes him around. He shows him the back. He shows him the broken glass and the shattered. And then he explains that they used this slingshot to do this to their vehicle, like total random vandalism, when they were just trying to help these kids. So the old man goes back into the crowd of the village. He grabs the boy, the other boy, and pulls him out in front. He's still holding the slingshot. So the old man grabs the slingshot, busts it over his leg, throws it on the ground. Now he says, can I please have my son now? So Nate and Ryan are in this real Mexican standoff. They don't know what to do. They look at each other. They look at their broken window. They look at this village. They're like, it's probably $500 to replace this glass. And they probably don't have 10 pesos among them. So what do we do? They're like, okay, we're just going to have to let this one go and not start an international incident. So they say, okay, we will give your son back, but you got to make him promise that he's never going to do this again. And he says, yes, anything, I will do it. So Nate goes to the truck, opens up the door, waves to the kid, and the kid says, can I just stay here with you? He knew what was going to happen. So finally they pry the kid out of the truck, push him towards his family, and the guy grabs him. He says, thank you. So before anything else happens, before there's a chance for anything else, all three of them jump back in the pickup and they're driving away. And they look back in their shattered window and they see that kid getting the beating of his life from his father. Lesson learned. Think before you leap. Or in other words, think before you leap out of a moving vehicle, grab a running Mexican boy, tackle him to the ground, throw him in your cab, and take him hostage. So I really like helping people. And I have a lot of experience with adventures. I've done hundreds of adventures. Every adventure always has something go wrong. There's some kind of obstacle. You have to go over, around, or through it. And getting a loan is really similar to that. And it's really helpful to have a guide you along the way. There used to be, some people call them a loan officer. I prefer loan guide because that's really what we're doing, is we're taking you from your desire to have a loan all the way to closing your loan. I'm Jared McBride, your loan guide. If you have any questions or to start your route to home financing, call me, 858-752-3461. Let me be your loan guide.